Hello, welcome to Strib Livestream Behind the Videos. I'm Allison Kaplan, and I'm joined today by members of the Star Tribune's visual journalism team who played a vital role in helping us make sense of the deluge of video that we're seeing from the streets as part of Operation Metro Surge as it continues here in the Twin Cities. For the purposes of today, we're going to focus on two really key news events, arguably the most scrutinized and viewed in recent weeks. The shooting deaths by federal officials of Renee Good and Alex Pretti, two separate incidents that happened 3 weeks apart here in the Twin Cities. I just want to say before we introduce our team that this sort of analysis and helping the audience make sense of what is going on through video and storytelling is the inspiration behind the Star Tribune's recently launched News Literacy Initiative. This is a partnership with the News Literacy Project and 360 Journalism at the University of St. Thomas, and this is going to provide resources and materials and mentorship for Minnesota teachers and for students grades 9 through 12 to help them make sense of news literacy. And as a parent, I just have to say that I see the constant stream of unfiltered videos on my own high schooler's phone, and wow, we really need to help this generation make sense of what they're seeing, look at it with a critical eye, and understand where they can turn for reliable news. So if you want to support this effort and others like it, consider a tax-free donation to the Star Tribune's local news fund. You can go to startribune.com/donate to make a donation. Well, let's meet the important people here today, our experts. We have Amanda Anderson, who is a video journalist here at the Star Tribune. We have Anna Boone, who is a digital designer. And we have Jake Steinberg, a graphics reporter. So let's just kind of level set. You all do not work on breaking news every day. Sometimes, right? But this has been rather unusual in recent weeks. So let's start with the Renee Good shooting, since that happened first. When the video, it seemed like instantaneously we started seeing clips on social and hearing things. Did you all recognize immediately we need to jump in? There's a role that we can play here as visual journalists. Jake, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Right away, the videos of this event started circulating online, and it was pretty apparent that they were conflicting with some of the things that officials in the Department of Homeland Security and then later the Vice President were saying about what happened. And so it was quite clear that there needed to be work out there that was more analytical than the deluge of video that we were seeing on social media, that there needed to be a sort of authoritative accounting of just what is visible in the videos and what can we actually say about what happened.
Right.
And I think it was pretty clear to many of us, like, because of the fast-paced nature of social media, like the importance of just saving copies of the videos that we wanted to explore more to our own devices, just in case things got deleted or in case things got removed from social media by whomever. So just like the need to collect information as quickly and as much of it as we could.
That's a question that some of the viewers have been asking. Where did the video come from? Are you getting video from the same sources that we're all seeing on our phones, or are people sending it in?
It varies. For Good, it was a lot of social media video that we looked at. For the Pretti shooting, we did have some video sent in to us by sources, but we also used bystander footage for that as well.
Okay. Another big question that people want to understand is, how do you verify video? And I think we're all asking ourselves that today, and we've seen instances where things have been doctored that have been out related to arrests from Operation Metro Surge. So how are you able to verify? How do you make sure that things haven't been manipulated by AI?
Well, just looking for AI manipulations in general, there are things that I look for that I think a lot of people, if you really took a minute to stop from your doom scrolling to look at content, you could tell things look a little off, and I need to explore this video a little bit more deeply. But so those things I look for, like hands oftentimes when there's things that are moving fast, can look odd. 3D space can kind of like not exist in AI videos, like things that shouldn't move through other things can, or like there'll be irregularities, body parts will be missing, or there'll be extra fingers for a second. Or one thing I've noticed is that people have great skin, but oftentimes
A little too great?
Yeah, oftentimes it can be a little too great. Most of us have impurities, and so just like if it looks too good or if it looks too weird, those are signs to pause and maybe dig a little deeper. For these, jump in wherever, but for these things that I looked for to make sure, or to try to verify what we were getting, the accuracy of what we were getting, were how we cut, for better or worse, each shot on an audio timeline when I was editing it is like very apparent, so you can see a marker in your audio when there's a shot. And so I was able to line up each video we were getting, and if something fell outside of when shots were happening, it probably wasn't something that we wanted to use in our timeline.
Interesting. So, and I know we're going to watch in just a minute and go through how you piece this together frame by frame. You used 5 videos, I think it was, to kind of recreate what happened in the Renee Good case. Were there a lot of others that you dismissed?
There were ones that not that we dismissed, but just didn't fit in. There's a lot of movement happening in these videos, and we wanted to focus in very specifically on the most important moment in time, which is when people lost their lives and what happened around that.
Yeah.
And so if something happened like way, way before, it was important for us to know the context of the scene, or way, way after, important to know how things responded, but probably didn't fit into our focused view. And then, I don't know if you guys want to jump in at any time.
We looked at those videos. Everyone in these situations has a camera out now, and so there is almost too much video. And we, for the piece that we put out, we limited the video that we were showing people to just those that we felt were showing kind of the key moments. And
and we got ones from like all the different angles that we saw online. The other thing that happens with this is people will download and re-upload the videos to many different sites.
Yeah.
They'll clip them different ways. So I do feel like we tried to focus on getting like the longer clips that
from
we
the
could
source.
get from the source, and then you see a lot of video coming in, but a lot of times it can also be clips of video you already have.
I want to follow up on something you just said, Jake, which I think is really interesting, that there's almost too much video now, and it's amazing to think about what has changed in the 5 years since the murder of George Floyd, and video played such an important role in that event as well, but it was really one, wasn't it? I mean, one video, and now there is just so much. What do you take from that? Is that good or not?
Yeah, I mean, it can be overwhelming, certainly, as people trying to find truth in society. I work with a lot of data, which is sort of like raw numbers and things like that. And I think a lot of the videos can be akin to just sort of the raw data of what's happening. And what we try to do, and what we try to do with these projects, is find the truth in all of that sort of raw information and find the story. In terms of like what it means for society, a lot of people are sort of thinking and writing about that. I think it was very interesting that in certainly the case of Renee Good, both the bystanders and the federal agents, Jonathan Ross, were filming the interaction. And that both added to our understanding of what happened, but also kind of, it appears to be a sort of like each side has their own video version of events that are unfolding.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe that's a good spot to look at the Renee Good video, the frame by frame that you put together.
So do we want to look at the compilation of videos first to like see how that's laid out, or go through the...
You choose, Amanda.
You guys,
You're
what are we gonna do?
We can do the compilation.
Yeah, let's do the compilation.
Well, that one, I didn't do a video just because it's like, I don't think we need to watch things again.
Yeah.
Because we did not do a disclaimer that this was just like very heavy to go through a lot of it over and over again. But I do have an image. So this is the video we were getting from the scene where Renee Good was killed. And this is how I was organizing everything. And as new video was coming in, you could see down here these little green markers. Those were the first shot, and so that's how I was that's what I was saying, is how I was lining everything up, and then I just pulled out the ends, and then tried to do it in order. There's a black space there just because I had a duplicate video, I realized. But so that's what that looked like, and then we could just like click over one frame at a time.
Wow.
And like just see where people were positioned as they were, because this was like, there was a lot of circular motion going around this car. I think Jonathan Good circled it at least twice.
Right.
And so just like seeing where people were in relationship to each other, and then as videos came out, we could just plop it in this timeline, pull out the ends, and then a whole other point of view was revealed. Like it just kept getting, we could see more and more as things got. So anyways, I just wanted to show.
Yeah, and you, if I recall correctly, you were about to publish your frame by frame analysis, and then the video perspective from Jonathan Ross, the agent, came out, right? And you had to rejigger and factor that in. Did that change your understanding?
Yes. Oh,
Definitely
yes.
it did.
Yeah. I think
I
in a
was
big way.
pretty concerned with where people were in the scene, and it provided some insight as to where some of the agents were, where Becca Good, Renee Good's wife, was, and where she came into the scene. And also, of course, it kind of got to the sort of one of the key questions we were looking at in all these videos, which is, what direction was the car going? Where were the wheels? Did it appear as if Renee Good was trying to, ram the officer as the federal government suggested, or was she trying to get out of their way? Jonathan Ross's video seemed to show her turning the steering wheel. Right. And of course, we also had video of the wheelbase of the car moving. And so, to speak earlier about sort of the questions of video authenticity, laying the videos out in the way that Amanda did here kind of allows us to establish a sort of credible timeline of, verifiable video based on things we can hear and things we can see and things we can compare it against.
And you made the conscious decision not to say in your visual storytelling that Jonathan Ross left the scene, right? Because you couldn't see that.
Yeah.
I was like,
we debated it.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it. I was really pushing for it just because we were doing what we were calling hairline analysis. But like we could look at all this video, and we could see that there was two people that were not wearing head coverings. Jonathan Ross was one of them, and we could see his haircut, and you could see similarities in some of this video, but it just was not. We kept where one video would drop because someone was running, another video would pick up maybe 10 frames later, and so we missed just like little bits of information that would have been so revealing about where he was going and when, that we just did not have clear.
We couldn't say it authoritatively.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of questions about, how they treated the crime scene, why, he left when he did, whenever he did, that are still unanswered, and that might, come back up when the investigations into what happened move forward.
Our main, when we were doing this the whole time, we just wanted to be so clear about what we could see, and we wanted to be really clear about what we couldn't see, and that's one of the ones that falls kind of like right at the edge. And what we could see was that he left where the car crashed, where Renee Good's car crashed. He asked people to call for emergency services, call 911, and then the camera drops, it picks back up. His car that he arrived in left with some agents inside, and we just can't say for sure. But we did say the other things we heard, which was the people taking the bystander video saying, "Don't let him leave, don't let him leave." We laid it out what we could see and what we heard.
It just speaks to your focused on the facts, right?
Yeah.
Before we move on to the Alex Pretti video,
I was focused on the hairline.
Okay, well,
that's true.
That's a fact.
Okay.
It is what it is. Before we move on to Alex Pretti, I just want to pause for a minute and acknowledge that, I feel like I've watched these horrifying videos more times than I care to, but you just kind of can't look away and they keep coming up. You all do you have any idea how many hours going over this?
full work days for like
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks.
It was
2 to 3 weeks.
The first night I was here until 2 a.m. like trying to go. Not day starts at should be 9 a.m. But
Yeah. So how do you process that? How do you feel? How do you do the job and you're also humans and you're watching something just horrific unfold?
It's hard to, I feel like I have to turn off a part of my brain that feels. It's impossible to do when you first see it, and with each new video that came in, there was like a couple times, I've told these people before, but like a couple of the perspectives just like hit me really hard, where I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, just because it's just like you know that this person is no longer, has been killed, and their car is still moving down the street, just like what do they look like inside? And so it's really hard when you turn that feeling part of your brain off to then turn it back on to process it. And I don't think I've turned back on the processing part quite yet, but
Yeah, to that point, you like kind of late in the process, we had a cut of the story, and there was a scene, there was a shot of Renee Good's car peering inside, that was quite gory, and
you see her body.
Yes, exactly. And that is something that, like our sort of newsroom standards, we would not show people, because
You blurred that out.
Yeah.
we blurred it out,
But I
there was
forgot.
sort of
I
a
didn't
moment
at
where we're
first,
like,
'cause
hey,
I-
by the way,
yeah.
did you blur this out?
Right.
And
We were all like,
Just
oh
'cause
yeah,
you
had-
of course.
Yeah.
Yes, we were so in it that
Yeah.
we forgot that, once you get out of it, it's actually, you probably shouldn't see stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and I just kept thinking that I think there was a time when all of this would have been, forbidden from being on a news site. This would have been taken down. But it's become so essential as there are different versions of the truth, and trying to get at the facts that we're forced to look at
no
some
doubt.
of these difficult things.
In particular, in this situation where you have almost two very different versions of reality being advanced, one in which Renee Good was a domestic terrorist, and one in which she was caught as a bystander. And there's certainly a lot of nuance in the scene, but I think it's a situation that demands that people have to look at the reality of what happened and what those videos show to make sense of it.
Right.
Yeah, and we have a lot of our coworkers, you guys saw in the last live stream, like they are out covering this. They are in like the thick of the tear gas and the less lethal, and they are like on the front lines essentially reporting on this, and this is the way that we can help
That's right.
them and help the reporting. And so that's the thing that kind of guided me throughout it too. It's hard. It's hard to watch them over and over. I definitely like Amanda said, like the new angles would make you feel sick. Like it's just like you kind of get desensitized, and then you would get the new angle, and it just recontextualizes all of it.
But I think also when you're in a newsroom at a time like this, we all contribute where you can, right?
Yeah,
and you
definitely.
felt the calling to do that. So let's move on to Alex Pretti. Do you have some visuals that you can show us? This to me felt the scene just almost more chaotic to make sense of
Just
so
like
many
compressed.
agents.
It
Yes.
was like just in one little, there was no circular, it was just like everyone piled in one, but yeah.
Right, and your videos were so helpful, the way you kind of zeroed in and outlined what was important. How did you figure it out?
Frame, just like frame, okay, next frame, what, and I just had the hardest time, like they would say things and I was like, I do not hear them calling for a gun. Let me watch this again. I do not see something being removed from his waistband. Like, I don't know, it was just really difficult to to discern just everything in the chaos.
Yeah, I think certainly the Pretti videos, it was very much frame by frame, very close analysis to try to find any sort of truth or facts about what was happening, as opposed to the Good shooting, in which we had much more context and there was more of a sequence of events.
And that's why for the Good video we did a lot of mapping. Like the mapping was super important to us, being able to show the camera angles. For the Pretti interaction, they don't move, like there's not the same kind of like flow that there is in the Good case. So for this one, we focused a lot more just on the video and trying to highlight the things in the video. Trying to outline, we really looked closely at like Pretti's hands throughout the interaction, like what you can see him holding, what you can't see him holding.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of your big takeaways as you looked at this frame by frame? What are some of the things that you feel like you were able to say without a shadow of a doubt?
We can say he did not brandish a firearm.
Yeah.
He's never
really
seen
any definition of that word. There's
For a lot of the scrum, like where he's being tackled by the agents, you can see the hands in front of him, and we tried to highlight that as well, because I felt like that was important to show. You can't see them the whole time, but
No,
you can see them a bit of it.
I never would have seen them if you hadn't zeroed in on that. I mean, it was so helpful the way you sort of shaded everything and then showed us.
Yeah, it doesn't play. I'm gonna need my glasses
Yeah.
to see this little itty bitty little
For
icon
this
right
one,
here.
this
but
was a compilation of 4 different videos that you used, and were those again generated by people at the scene? Any from official sources or?
These ones, I believe, were all from bystander.
Yeah,
all bystander.
and because it was there was less motion, because it was kind of everyone was focused in one area, we could see where we should be expecting video to come from. So there's this angle, I'm gonna go back to this timeline image, but there's this angle, the one on the way right here. You could see, there was another video that came in that looked like a much more clean that we already had. And we could look at this video on the right and see there was only one person, the pink coat person, recording from there. So there couldn't have been another video, and this was one that we decided we are not going to look, just because it looked like, we weren't sure how it had been, if or how it had been altered in any kind of way, and so we were able to see where to expect video from, who might be recording what, rather than like people are moving around, it's kind of hard to tell who we should be expecting to take video. So that helped us with our verifying.
Yeah.
Sound was also really key, especially for the Pretti video.
Yeah.
Amanda sent, when we were first writing the outline, just to like, we would watch the videos and then we kind of plotted like the different parts we wanted, and then we'd work with Amanda to cut from the big timeline. And she sent us a screenshot when we were all trying to count how many shots there were, and she found the audio file that corroborated 10 shots, and she sent it to us in a very different format. And I think instantly everyone in our Slack channel was like, that needs to be a graphic, like in the story, because that's the visual proof.
Right, that there were 10 shots.
Yes.
Because it is hard. You can like stop, like close my eyes and count on my fingers what it was. You could do it that way, but yeah, when you see like these little bumps here, you can determine what caused those spikes, if it's a scream, as was noted, or if it's just these gunshot pops.
It's really powerful.
Yeah.
What else stands out to you, or what else would you tell people if they were going through this screen by screen analysis for the first time they should be looking for?
Well, we paid a lot of attention to sort of what brought Pretti into the scene, whether it was anything kind of aggressive and sort of the interactions he had with the other observers or bystanders that were involved in the situation, and because of course that was another sort of narrative that immediately kind of got spun out of this, was that he was being aggressive towards either officers or some other people on the scene. That does not appear to be the case if you watch sort of where his hands are and sort of the way he comports himself, and we sort of do freeze frames of those and highlight kind of key things he's doing.
Hopefully people saw our live stream last week, or can watch the recording of it to hear the reporter perspective. But I'm curious how all of you, I think people would love to hear how you work with the more traditional journalists who are writing and reporting this with all of your graphic and visual skills. How is all that coming together in a story like this?
I mean, on the scene, we asked reporters, there was just angles we were missing from Jonathan Ross's, from that scene where Renee Good was killed, and we asked reporters to go look for ring camera footage or just something from across the street that might reveal, was he being pushed or was he slipping on ice, or his interaction with the car. So we asked reporters and photographers, I think it was one reporter, to just go and knock and see if we could have access to that. So that was one way.
Right.
Yeah, we partnered with for both of these stories with 2 reporters too.
Yeah,
One each,
yes.
and they helped a lot with us crafting the narrative.
Okay.
They do the
Yeah.
word stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone has their role to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jake? What do you think about working? I mean, in the team on something like this? How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, projects like this come together fast, and you know, everyone kind of has unique talents they can bring to it and a role to play. You know, we had reporters help with the text, but we also all did a fair amount of work on the text. And you know, in stories like this, so much of it is like the text can't be written until we sort of have the video timeline sorted out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was very fruitful collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot, I think, in media circles just about the importance of video and how it has changed reporting and how it has changed crime scenes, and everything about what's been going on with this immigration crackdown. Video is so important. As journalists, as members of the Star Tribune newsroom, what do you take from this going forward, just about how we tell stories and how we should think about video?
People are being trained to take video at these scenes. Like, people are being told, have your phones out and press record and don't stop. And it has felt so through all of this, I have felt just so jumbled. Like, it's impossible to know where. There's no way I could have been at either one of these scenes fast enough to get this footage. And so I felt so connected to the community by their presence there and by them pressing record, that we can then take this information, all this data, like Jake said, and make sense of it. So not everybody has to watch every single gruesome detail of a video. And so that's, I'm not saying everybody needs to be recording every single thing, but for moments like this, it's just, if you're there, record and share it, please. Share with us the original video.
Yeah, without bystander video, we wouldn't have anything to really push back against official narratives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, this, you know, as journalists, we always are we're trained to have a sort of sense of skepticism with the things, but we're covering things that we see, and I think we're used to deploying that. But this story felt really different in the amount of skepticism we had to have for like sort of official sources and the official narrative. And you know, that's a consequence of, you know, a Department of Homeland Security and a White House that routinely puts out AI generated images. You know, they recently used AI to alter a photo of them arresting a civil rights attorney here to make it look like she was crying.
Right.
Yeah.
That question came up right away when the government released a photo of the gun that they pulled off, or they said they pulled off of Alex Pretti. There were immediate sort of innate questions about, you know, is this real? Is this verifiable? You know, we would be asking these questions anyway, but to have to ask it of visual evidence, which we're so used to being able to rely on, is kind of a new thing that we have to do.
Yeah.
And that photo, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's tough that like the rise of AI generated images coincides with the rise of the need of video, like from the spot.
Yeah,
Everything's going up together. And
Yeah.
it's just creating like a mass amount of
Yeah,
content.
yeah.
To sort through.
So to that end, and maybe that's a good place to end, and thank everyone for submitting their thoughtful questions. What would you, what advice would you give to the average viewer who doesn't have the trained eye or has taken the hours and hours that all of you have to go frame by frame? What is the best advice for consuming all of this? Because you can't avoid it.
Oh boy. Be safe about what you're watching and take care of yourself as you're going through this footage if you feel like you need to, because it's unavoidable. Yeah, if you're on social media. Now I've totally messed up my algorithm on Instagram. It's because I was saving all these videos. It's just like a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's maybe my main thing. Like, take breaks from watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for partnership and what you're viewing and what to look for if you feel like you need to.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I also liked what you were saying, though, about the work that you're doing maybe makes it so that you don't feel the need to go watch just endless streams of unedited video, to go to a reputable source like the Star Tribune and see the breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would echo that. I'd say be skeptical and be aware if you are seeing these things on a platform like Facebook, Instagram, X. These platforms are designed to show you things that you will likely agree with or will enrage you, and it's important to be aware of kind of the incentives there and where you're getting your information from, and also take care of yourselves. These stories were immensely hard to work on. I was proud of them, but I also wasn't like in the way I usually do, where I wanted everybody I know to see them. I think if you don't feel like you have to watch these videos to understand what happened, you probably shouldn't, because they're very graphic.
Yeah.
And same with people that are the observers. People are being trained to be safe and to get video safely and not put yourself at risk to get video. So if you're not trained to do those things, we don't need the video. I mean, we need the video, but not that badly, So it's just like, if you're on the scene too, just be smart about how you're maneuvering yourself and what PPE you have and all these things.
That's right. Yeah, don't go to great lengths. There are enough people doing this work. Well, you're all doing incredible work. Thank you. It helped me understand and make sense of what I was seeing so much. And I think so many others feel that way. So thank you. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for joining us for this behind the scenes live stream. We hope to bring you more of these. In the meantime, if you're not already a subscriber, please go ahead and subscribe to the Star Tribune and consider making a tax-deductible donation by going to startribune.com